One of the questions that I asked in the previous video was this: by how much force is the moon getting attracted towards the earth? To answer this question, we have something called as universal law of gravity. So the basic idea with this law is this: it helps in finding the amount of attractive force between two objects with masses. Okay, not say, earth has mass, moon also has its own mass. So these two will attract each other. By how much force? That is answered with the help of universal law of gravity. Please make a note that you guys also have mass and ant also has mass. If there was nothing else, you guys were lost in space and there is nothing else, you guys will attract the ant and the ant will attract you guys. Anything with mass will attract anything else with mass. So as of now, wherever you are sitting or standing, things around you, whatever has mass, you're pulling that and that is pulling you guys. We don't see the effect of you guys falling towards it or that getting attracted towards you guys, just because there are too many other forces to negate that, so you don't see any effect. But yes, anything with mass will attract anything with mass. So please remember this. People generally think of gravity as something that is between an heavenly body and other things, earth and everything else. It's not that. It's between everything. Anything with mass will have its own gravitational pull. Okay. So what does the law tell? Let's come back to this. The law tells every object in the universe attracts every other object with a force which is given by proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. The force is along the line joining the center of the two objects. That is your statement. I'll explain it. But again, remember, anything with mass will attract anything with mass. Remember that. So first thing is, I have two objects, right? The first object mass is m, capital M, and the second object mass is small m. They will attract each other. Okay. But by how much? Well, to answer that, we need to start with this. First is, I'll join the centers of the objects. Actually, this center is not your physical center, it is the center of mass, but I won't go to the details of it now, right? So we'll just consider two spheres which is evenly, with even density. So these are their centers. Okay. So the direction of the force will be along the center. That is one of the things in the law. We need the direction. Force has two things, magnitude and direction. The magnitude part is answered over here and the direction part is answered over here. That is your magnitude part and this is your direction part. Okay, direction is very clear. Object A is pulled towards object B in this particular direction and object B towards A in this particular direction. Okay, so the direction is given by joining the centers of the two objects. But again, we are still not answered the force part. How much force? The force is proportional to the masses, product of their masses, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance. Okay, so we will see the formula part, but I hope you guys kind of got an idea about what the law of universal law of gravity does. It relates the masses, the distance between them, to the force that is exerted between them because of gravitational pull. Okay, and this part is very important, that the force is along the line joining the centers of the two objects. Right? Please keep that in mind. So you have to find something called a center of mass of both the objects, join them, that would be your directional part. The magnitude part is something, I'm going to do it over here. That was just a statement. We are considering two objects A and B of mass m and capital M and small m, lying at a distance of d from each other. The distance being the distance of the centers of the masses. Okay, not from here to here. Right? Let the force of attraction between the two objects be F. So say this is getting attracted towards A with a force of F. Again, we are just trying to find the magnitude. So according to the universal law of gravity, F will be proportional to directly proportional to the product of their masses, that is m into m. Okay, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. That is your distance and that is the square of the distance. Now, coming back to this, read the statement. Every object in the universe attracts every other object with a force which is proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Right? Directly proportional to the masses, product of their masses. That is m1 into m2. In this case, capital M into small m. Inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centers, center of the masses. And in this case, it's d, so it will be d square. Combining equation 1 and equation 2, what do we get? So we will tell from 1 and 2. We are looking at f being proportional to m1 into m2. If you guys don't want to go with this, we can go with capital M into small m divided by d square. Of course, we have to remove the proportionality symbol and we'll get a constant, and that constant is something called as represented by capital G. That is a universal gravitational constant. About G we'll be learning, I think, in the next video. Yes, not listed over here. So you'll be looking at G. G is your, let me write it off somewhere. I'll write it off here itself. G is your proportionality constant, and the details of it we'll be discussing. Okay. Oh, I had so much of space. Proportionality constant. Yeah. Right, guys. So again, let me repeat. To answer the question the question such as, what is the attractive force between two objects with mass m1 and m2, or capital M or small m, we have to make use of universal law of gravity. The universal law of gravity talks about the force between two objects being product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance. This is important. People remember the formula, but they forget this, the directional aspect. The force is along the line joining the center of the two objects. This center is actually the center of mass, but again, we're not going to that because that is something which is of the next version of things, the higher version of whatever you're studying. So I won't go to that, but you should know. So we are considering two evenly dense object. So the center of the mass will be the physical center also. So joining them, right? The direction of the forces will be along this line. And regarding the magnitude, it would be F is equal to m capital M small m divided by d square, and G is your proportionality constant. It is universal gravitational constant that you would be studying in the next video itself, so don't think too much about that. For now, you guys have to just get introduced to the idea behind universal law of gravity, the statement, right? Magnitude and the directional aspect has to be known. So my request is you guys have to write everything including the diagrams. So you need to understand that everything attracts everything with mass. So even you guys attract the ant and the ant will attract you guys. Okay, so this is something that you guys have to be familiar with. And the next is the statement. Do write everything including the diagram. And this mathematical expression has to be written. It's part of your derivation and learning as well. Diagrams are must. Both have the same amount of force but opposite in direction.